Welcome to the channel. We are here live at Rarebloom, which is taking place in Denver, Colorado at the Gaylord Rockies. We're now in day 2 of the event, and I'm sitting right next to Steve and Matt Plomin from the Mehen Group. How are you guys doing today?
Good. It's been a great conference so far.
Doing well.
Good. Now, what we're going to be doing is taking a quick look at Mehen and what you guys are providing to Cardano. So do you guys mind breaking down what you guys are doing with Mehen and exactly how it's benefiting members in the community?
Yeah, certainly. So one of the things that we've seen in Cardano is the opportunity to put forward a stablecoin that's backed by fiat assets. That's somewhat to the design of what you're seeing in the Ethereum ecosystem with USDC and USDT, where you can, or Gemini USD or BUSD, where you can buy it and redeem it for $1 on chain. So have an actually Cardano-native version of USDC be called USDM from Mehen.
Okay. Anything you want to add to that, Steve?
No, I mean, Matt's really good at explaining all these things. But yeah, just fiat-backed stablecoin that hopefully, obviously we need it on the ecosystem. I'm sure we'll get to that, but
Right. So myself, I understand stablecoins. I think there's definitely more for me to learn. But just looking at it from a very general perspective, can you kind of explain what makes Mehen different than some of the other stablecoins that we hear about so often within the ecosystem, right? So something like JED, how is Mehen a little bit different?
Well, the stabilization mechanisms for JED are to take from a pool of assets called Shen. So if the value of the ADA that's contained within the JED drops, ADA moves over from Shen to fill that back up. Vice versa, if you have the value of ADA in the JED rise, that ADA moves into the Shen pool. So it's an algorithmic stablecoin that's really volatile based on the value of ADA. And because the stabilization is 4-to-1, then if ADA were to drop by 75%, then it would depeg the JED. It would completely wreck all the Shen holders. Instead of relying on somebody to take the risk and somebody to take the stable, what we're doing is we're doing cash in, cash out, buy it for $1, redeem it for $1. So it's exactly matched to the asset that it's trying to mimic. The value of the dollar is exactly matched to the token on chain.
Gotcha. So it sounds like there's going to be a little bit less risk, right, when using a stablecoin that's backed by an actual asset as opposed to an algorithmic stablecoin. Is that correct?
Well, there's certainly risk in sort of centralization or risk of the value of the collateral dropping in any case. There's going to be risk that you can't really get around in either way, but there certainly is a lot more security in having a asset that's wrapped up, held at a major bank, and licensed by the various states like USDC is, redeemable straight for fiat, and purchased with fiat. So one of the problems with a lot of these algorithmic coins is you have to find the risk takers. You have to find 4 times as many dollars to take the risk in a structure just like JED. Then you would have to mint it. So you're really limited as far as how much it can grow and how big a part of the ecosystem it can be. When it comes to something like Mehen, or a fiat-backed 1-to-1 convertible stablecoin, you can grow that as much as the dollars will come in is the number of dollars that will be on chain. So it's a quick and easy solution to getting it there. It's not easy to build. We have to go through a process of being licensed in each of the 50 states plus 3 territories. And we have to go through a federal registration process. We have to go through FBI background checks and credit checks. The state regulators do a lot to make sure that the people who are operating in this environment, or the companies that are operating in this environment, are of a good health, and they have a good track record. They have a lot of assets of their own that they can go to. We have to post a surety bond at each state. So there's a lot to it, a lot more than just signing a list or somewhere and rolling it out. You have to go through a legal process, and so we've hired some very good lawyers to help us through that. They're the same attorneys that have done similar things on USDC.
Gotcha. And so you're talking about having to go through all of these different hoops in terms of regulations and laws. Where are you guys in that process? You guys, I'm sure, already have applications, to be able to have the stablecoin out. Are you guys still prepping to actually reach out to these different governing bodies to talk about the stablecoin, or has that process already started and it's in the works?
We've registered with FinCEN, which is the federal. FinCEN stands for Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. It's a federal agency that works with financial, regulated financial entities. And so we've registered with FinCEN. We have a FinCEN registration in. We've prepared the applications for a number of states, and we're ready to file those. We have a few states where we're already cleared to operate in.
Wow. Okay.
But it's going to be a time where we need to make sure we have enough states so that there's widespread participation, the ability to mint and burn.
Gotcha.
So that part is, the stack is growing slowly. We're really at the behest of a lot of overworked and underappreciated state employees. So we want to make sure that they get a good full packet from us, that they don't have to come back and request revisions and modifications. And so we're still polishing the last few pieces of a few of those registrations.
Gotcha. And so will you guys be able to launch the Mehen Stablecoin without all 50 different states or governing bodies on board? Or is this something that can happen with half of the states buying in?
There it is.
Yeah, this I can answer this.
Go right for it, man.
He does all that stuff, but yeah, no, we can. He had mentioned we have a couple states today. We could actually launch, assuming the tech would be ready today. Basically, all it means is that if we, what is it, Wyoming,
Montana, Wisconsin, California.
Okay, those are huge states.
Yeah, so
there's some big states.
all it really means is that you have to be physically in that state, and then you could do the minting and the burning. But once it's out in the ecosystem, you could be in Australia or Africa or Europe and use it. So
Gotcha.
Our plan is, right now we're doing our development right now, and when that's ready, we will launch. Like, however many states that we have, we'll be live in those states, and they're working on, like you said, the packets for all these additional states to get those extra states on board. But yeah, there's no reason that we wouldn't be able to launch as soon as the tech is ready, just in those handful of states.
Right, and I think that's a good thing to hear as somebody who wants to, use your stablecoin, right? It would be a little sad to hear that you guys have to wait to get everybody on board before you guys can do anything, which it doesn't sound like that's the case. So I'm happy to hear that. Did you want to say something?
Well, that's true. So what we would end up doing is, if you're located in one of those states, say we launch in this handful of states early, you would then come to the Mehen website. You would go through a KYC process where you verify, you upload your ID front and back, you do a little face scan, move around to the camera so you can see that you're a real person. We match the information that's on that ID against various federal databases.
Oh, wow.
And do a slight little background check on you to make sure you're not a terrorist or any kind of sanctioned individual. And then we'll make an assessment as to whether or not you pass the KYC. Most likely, a guy like you, like Steve, would pass the KYC, no problems. If you have criminal, if you're a criminal, if you're trying to do something bad, if you're fraudulent, we check for all kinds of stuff in that process. But then you would use the service called Plaid, which is an integrated banking service to link your bank account to the Mehen account, and then you would create a Mehen account. So just like you would on Coinbase or in any of the other centralized exchanges, you would have the ability to transfer dollars from your bank account into the Mehen account. And then once that clears, it'll take about 6 days to clear the fiat system, and then once that's done, then you can mint USDM into that wallet. So we'll have a hosted wallet for you. You connect then your fiat, your self-custody wallet into the Mehen wallet, and we'll transfer the USDM into your self-custody wallet, and at that point, you can spend it throughout the ecosystem.
So you guys, because you're talking about a bank now, right? The KYC process, and I understand that. So are you guys like a bank entity, or you guys are partnering with a bank? Because you're talking about somebody depositing that cash to be converted into the Mehen stablecoin, right? So how does that work? And again, I'm trying to get a better understanding of what you guys are actually providing versus some of the service that you guys may be relying on, banks and other kind of established systems when it comes to Mehen.
Yeah, we won't be a bank.
Okay.
We have partnerships with a few banks that would then be the custodians of the assets for the benefit of the token holders.
Got it.
And we're going to make sure that those assets in that account are separate from like the corporate operating cash of Mehen. So the payroll, the vendors, the money we have to pay vendors, the various things we have to pay for, that money would be separate from the money that's backing the stablecoin.
Right.
So, yeah.
Now, let's say the Mehen is burned, right? What happens to that that cash that was backing it.
So then at that point, in your Mehen wallet on the site, you would get your USD back.
Okay.
So one thing he had mentioned when we were using Plaid, like for the banking, that is also, they do offer the KYC service. So we aren't doing the KYC ourselves.
Right.
Just to make that a little clear, we are using Plaid for that KYC service and the banking service. So they have a really good API. So yes, we'll be using them. But when you burn, it goes in your USD go in your wallet, and at that point you can decide to withdraw it to your bank account that you had linked to your Mehen account.
And then at that point you can just do whatever you want, like you would with your normal cash.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can kind of think like your Coinbase account, if you have one. Most people do at this point.
Yes.
You hook your bank onto it, you make your deposit, and then you purchase whatever asset. You can send it off. You can bring it back in. You can sell it. And
then cash
out. So it's the same thing, except you're not actually selling or buying.
Right.
You just call it something different, minting and burning.
That makes sense. I think the way that you explained that right there made it click for me. So I think that's a very helpful way of describing it. Yeah. And so with that said, you guys are obviously continuing to develop. What is in the roadmap for Mehen coming up?
So right now, we just in the last month, we had gotten done our system requirements, architecture, ConOps, all the check boxes for a nice big development like this. We want to make sure that we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's, because this is, we are dealing with people's information, their P2 information, typically what they would call it. So that all has to be securely stored. So like I said, over the last month, we started our development now. So we are doing the integration with Plaid and trying to get that KYC process all worked in, that we can be able to test it and everything.
Right.
And he's still working that legal side, and we're hoping that they have a nice little convergence in first quarter next year, maybe.
Okay.
That's a good hope.
Okay. So. Yeah, I know a lot of times in the crypto space, people avoid giving hard dates, which I don't blame you guys. I think Q1 of 2023 is general enough for the community to understand what you guys are aiming for. And so, did you want to add anything, Matt, in regards to the future of Mehen and what you guys are trying to do?
Well, one of the reasons that we decided to go down the regulated route is that it opens a lot of doors for you when it comes to usability. So one of the things I'm very excited about is the possibility of attaching a debit card to the Mehen wallet.
Wow, okay.
So as you go through the process of, like Steve said, you go out and you earn some USDM in the ecosystem. So you do work for somebody, they pay you in USDM, and then you need to turn that into fiat. Well, you could go through the process of KYC yourself.
Right.
Then the plan would be to sometime in the future wrap a debit card around this. So then your USDM wallet, your Mehen managed wallet, would be able to be spent by swiping the debit card instead of going to your bank account, waiting for the settlement there, and then giving a few extra days delay. So it would be truly a Cardano wallet to cash register solution.
That's impressive. Yeah, I completely understand that part. I didn't realize that was something that you guys were hoping to do, and so that's super exciting to hear. I'm trying to think now. So, do you guys have any partnerships? Obviously, there's DEXs in the ecosystem. We've got things like Axo. We've got MinSwap. We've got other DeFi protocols like Meld. Are you guys reaching out to these different types of DeFi applications, right, to see, okay, how can we incorporate Mehen, and can we actually establish, some kind of trading vehicles to have Mehen on their platform?
Yeah, we've talked at this point, after being at CNFTCon and Rarebloom, we've spent the better part of the past 6 months reaching out to every DeFi application on Cardano and trying to make them at least familiar with our project and our process and our technique and what we're working toward in our process of getting state registration, being fiat-backed, doing all of that and what we're doing. So they all know about us, I hope. Maybe they don't remember, but I hope they all know about us. And we're not pressing for partnerships right now. I know that a lot of, sometimes crypto projects will have a conversation and then they'll do a press release immediately. Right. And we're very friendly with nearly every DeFi protocol on Cardano, but we're not really asking them to do partnerships with us yet because we're still developing. We're worried about that. We're not worried about like making press releases and headlines and stuff.
Right, and that's understandable. It's like you want to get the product out first and be like, hey, we've got this out now. Now let's talk about collaborations instead of trying to jump the gun.
Yeah, it's, part of our development is developing for third parties to be able to interact with us, so generating an API for them. So ideally, we would have these DEXs integrate our API with them, and then programmatically go in and deposit money from their bank, and then mint some USDM,
right,
pull it onto their DEX, and then whatever maybe has some liquidity pairs or something, with the USDM, just to get it bootstrapped into the ecosystem,
into their platform.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, we're gonna wrap up on a light note. Did you want to add something else there, Matt?
Well, no. What I wanted to say though is it's really nice to have the DEXs would be able to mint and burn themselves, so that if they identify a depegging, so let's imagine that it's selling on their DEX for 99 cents, then they could immediately then buy it up,
right,
redeem it for $1, get their $1, then go back and replenish and make that penny, which helps to stabilize it, right? So and then likewise, if they see a depeg to the upside, they could surely then come mint their own, supply more to the market, and then make that little extra bit.
Right.
And I know it just seems like a few cents, but in volume that adds up to quite a bit of money.
Oh yeah.
So it would be beneficial for people to go through the process of KYCing like individuals,
right.
But also having these DEXs around, having the DeFi protocols around to watch the peg and make sure that they could come mint burn and understand that since we are fiat backed, we could just send you the cash if you want. Right. It really is going to be an online dollar on Cardano.
No, I'm impressed for everything that you guys are doing. Again, I think my biggest takeaway was the debit card. I think how simple it's going to be to literally have your crypto and then be able to spend that in the real world. I know another project that we kind of met through actually, which is Meld, is looking to kind of bridge that gap as well, right? They're going to be looking to have their own debit card, but they're focusing more on the lending and borrowing aspect of things, right? And so that's really my biggest takeaway from this. But again, we're going to end on a light note. Steve, what's been your biggest highlight here at Rarebloom, and what do you kind of think of the event as a whole?
I'd say finally getting to meet this guy.
Really? You guys work together, but you guys haven't met the face.
And Jim, Blockshock. I'm a part of Freeloaders as well.
Oh, nice. So you'll be helping to mint the bank managers.
Actually, I wrote the website.
Wow.
Smart claims. That was my work.
I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, with the Meld part. So I'm excited to get that out there. I was down there talking with Matt, so it was cool to finally meet him and just everybody else. And like I said, just walking around and putting your finger on the pulse of everything else that's getting built around here, and it's encouraging to see so many people still building,
right?
And knowing what's going on the charts and everything else, but it's still happening,
right.
It's happening, so just awesome to be a part of it.
No, I couldn't agree more. I think with the sentiment right now, seeing this many people here at Rarebloom, it's been eye-opening for me, right? And it's like the sentiment here alone has been positive. There's been no negativity. Everybody's super excited. Everybody's ready to share their project. Everybody's ready to collaborate. And so I think as a community, we're very resilient, and this particular event showed me that. And so what's been your biggest takeaway, Matt?
Well, I'd say the same thing. Meeting people in the Cardano community in real life, instead of on Twitter or online, different Discord servers and that type of thing, has been very, very encouraging. We went to an Ethereum conference between CNFTCon and Rarebloom, and CNFTCon was packed. It was lively. It was fun.
Yeah.
And then there was this Ethereum conference, and it was a ghost town.
Oof.
I wonder which one's the real ghost chain.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. We've been getting a lot of FUD, but I'm glad that the community can see past that, and these are the results. Everybody here watching Charles, watching the showroom or walking the showroom, those are the results. So I couldn't thank you both, anymore.
One more thing.
Go right ahead.
The debit card is going to be like round 2.
Okay.
We'll get there eventually.
I've got to hold my horses a little bit. I've got to hold my horses. All right, guys. Don't get too excited. No.
Don't get too excited about that one
I
yet.
appreciate you clarifying that.
Got to get launched first. We'll launch, then we'll roll into the next phase.
Gotcha. Well, no, you guys are both more than welcome on the platform anytime if you guys want to share updates about Mehen or anything else that you guys may be working on. I want to thank Steve. I also want to thank Matt for your time. And if you guys don't have anything else, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.